years, I have acquired many shuffling shoes. In fact, I think I own more shuffling shoes than I do any other type of shoe. So I think it makes me very qualified to tell you what the best shuffling shoes are, what the best shoes are for festivals, indoor shuffling, all that sorts of things. So let me get into my favorites, my least favorites, and all the ones in between. First up, let's get out of the way my absolute least favorite. These were highly recommended by other shufflers, but I absolutely detested them. And that's these ones from Doll's Kill. They're like a mix between a combat boot and a sneaker. I absolutely hate them. Hate them, hate them, hate them. I wore them to EDC and they gave me the worst blisters. I couldn't even shuffle in them at all. I think I got a blister within like the first hour of wearing them. 0 out of 10, do not recommend. Some people love them, maybe it's just my feet, but I probably will sell these. I don't know why I haven't already actually. Next up, I have 2 shoes which are gonna be my favorite for indoor shuffling. The first pair is these Adidas Cloud Foam QT Racers. They are very lightweight, like so light. They basically feel like you're just wearing a sock, and they have hardly anything on the bottom. Obviously they're worn down, but even when I got them as new, they don't have a lot of tread, which makes them really good for indoor shuffling. Now they are really flimsy, so you're not gonna be able to do a lot of toe stalls or anything that requires like a sturdy shoe. I'd say they're better for shuffling, not so good for cutting shapes, and you're just not gonna be able to do a lot of cool tricks and things in them because they just are really flimsy and don't really have any support. But again, good for indoor shuffling because a lot of the times indoor surfaces are really sticky, right? And you need something with a little bit less grip, which is why my other favorite indoor shuffling shoes are these. These are Adidas Raleighs. Unfortunately, they are discontinued. They do not make these anymore, but you can find them on Poshmark. Just look up Adidas Raleighs and you should be able to find them. I'm pretty sure I've seen pairs on there for like $20. I love these because again, minimal tread, largely again because I've worn them down so much. I just love the high top look of them as well. I just think they look cool when you're shuffling, but again, better for shuffling, not so good for shapes because again, they are pretty flimsy, but not as flimsy as the QT Racers. The Adidas Raleighs are also good for shuffling outside, but I prefer them for shuffling over cutting shapes, but they do good for both. They aren't terrible for cutting shapes, it's just not as good as some of my other shoes. But I would say overall these are a good indoor and outdoor shoe. Next up, we have a beloved shoe by many other shufflers, and I think they're okay, and that's the Vans. You've probably seen so many people shuffle in high top Vans, particularly Elena Cruz. She wears these to like every single festival, I'm pretty sure. I like them, I don't love them. I find them particularly hard to get on and off and just not the easiest to shuffle in. But again, I haven't worn them in as much as some of my other shoes. Maybe with a little bit more love and practice in them, I'd like them more. They're not my favorite. I do think they look really good with cutting shapes. Maybe that's just because I've seen Elena Cruz do so many shapes videos in them, but I do think they look good for that style. And again, they've got that high top, flat bottom, which just looks really good for shuffling, right? When it's completely flat on the bottom, it just gives you more of that floating look. Good shoe for most, but I think they're mids. I don't wear them that often, but I'm not gonna get rid of them because I still like them. Another slightly new pair to me are these Nike Court Royal mids. And you might be thinking they look very similar to the Air Force Ones, and they do, they're both high tops, right? But these Court Royals are actually a little bit more lightweight. They're not so clunky, and they don't have as thick of a bottom as the Air Force Ones do. These have like a really thick, chunky bottom and just feel a little bit heavier. These are a lot more lightweight and overall just are a really good shoe. They're kind of similar to the Adidas Raleighs, but they're a little bit stiffer, making them good for things like glides, toe stalls, all that kind of stuff. I am really impressed with these so far, but again, still slightly new to me, still kind of breaking them in and giving them a little love. As you can tell, they're so white and clean, unlike the rest of my shoes. Big fan of these so far. If you don't want such a heavy shoe like the Air Force Ones, I would recommend getting the Nike Court Royals. So I said I wasn't a fan of Vans, but I am a fan of Converse, which are very similar to Vans, right? They've got a canvas top and then just a bottom right here. I feel like they just feel more lightweight. Again, they feel like you're wearing a sock and you don't have much on your feet, which just makes me feel more connected to the ground almost. And I also find that these are really good for shuffling on any surface. So if I wear them to a festival and maybe the ground isn't ideal or as smooth as I would like, as so often happens, these are my go-to shoes. Like, they just can shuffle on anything. They can shuffle on grass, they can shuffle on pavement, anything. They're so good and they're very lightweight. The downside of them is don't have a lot of support. They do hurt your feet at a festival, and also they're very narrow, so they end up pinching my toes a lot. My pinkies end up killing me. I really like these over the Vans. I would pick these 9 times out of 10 over my Vans. They also make these in high tops, which I have yet to try, but I really want to. I think I'm always looking for a little bit of extra height. And last, but certainly not least, are my all-time favorites. They're my most well-rounded shoe. They're my good for anything shoe. They're the ones I always come back to, and that's my Nike Air Maxes. I love them so much. I have them in black and in white, although the white ones are my favorite. I just like the way white looks when you're shuffling. It just stands out more. I like them best when they're worn down. When they're new, they have a lot of grip on the bottom that makes them a little bit harder to shuffle in, especially on certain surfaces. These aren't ideal for every surface, but once you wear them down a little bit, they're not so bad. But I just find that these have so much support. I can wear them all day at a festival and my feet don't hurt. I like them for shuffling and I like them for shapes, although I do like them a little bit better for shapes. I think they just look better with shapes, but I don't think they look bad with shuffling. I just love these shoes. Every time I think I'm getting sick of them and I go use another shoe for a little while, I come back to these and I'm like, oh, I miss them. Nike Air Max 97s, my all-time favorites. And I will put my shoe size and link to all these shoes down below, but I am 99% positive I wear a 7 in every shoe that I have mentioned. Those are all of my shoes. I have a lot, as you can tell, but hopefully that kind of gave you an idea of the different kinds, and depending on what you're looking for, you might like a certain style over another. And also, just because I don't like a shoe doesn't mean you won't like a shoe. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight. If I had to recommend a shoe to somebody, it would be my Nike Air Max 97s. But also, if you're brand new, just starting out, there's no need to go out and buy new shoes right away. Just shuffle in whatever old sneakers you have, and then as you kind of get a feel for your style, then go out and find a new shoe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.